3 p.m. and the meeting of the CAMPO Transportation Policy Board meeting has begun. Item 1, certification of quorum. I've looked and counted since Cynthia doesn't want to do it anymore, and yes, we do have at least 12 members here. And I want to announce the proxies, and we have Councilmember Krista Lane has the proxy for Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes. Ms. Amy Patillo has the proxy for Judge Andy Brown, and Councilmember Zoe Quadri has the proxy for Councilmember Mike Siegel. Okay. And just in, Commissioner Terrio has the proxy for Commissioner Beckett. Item number 2, public comments. The public is invited to speak. Each speaker will be given, I'll give them 2 minutes. Why not? To provide public comment, written comments may be emailed forward by 5 p.m. We always have the Thursday before. That's not new, and it gives an opportunity for everyone to speak. So I am going to start calling out the names. If you can get lined up, that would help. The first one up we have is, I believe, Ian Wilson. Okay. Your penmanship's like mine, bud. Next up will be Georgina Campero, and then Jose Lola. And do you guys have the clock? I like that. It gives the beginning, end, and everything else organized for him. All right, all right.
I could just set one on my phone for me. For me, at least.
Like it. You did a job. Put more stuff.
All right, bud. Ready to go.
Hi, Ian Wilson, City of Austin resident. I am an enthusiastic community member, so I went to the statewide Pedestrian Safety Council meeting in early May, which was a really, really great day. And I was shocked and horrified to learn that AMPO does a great job of engaging with their citizens about walkability and bikeability. Their MPO staff go out and do bike and walk audits with members of their public and neighborhood organizations and the like. And I am not aware of any efforts by our MPO to do anything like that. So I think those public engagement efforts would be great. And the fact that AMPO is doing them suggests that it's probably legal under state law, and it's embarrassing that we're getting outdone on this by AMPO. So that's something I would love to see taken up by staff. I know that you guys don't have enough to do already, but that would be great. Also, I've been emailing with Joyce about trying to have some more numbers broken out in terms of what funding dollars are going to roadway-specific things versus bike ped or other projects, and that's something that I was told that we have to contact each of the project sponsors, which is a huge burden of effort to put out on the community. So I think Joyce said that that was something that was being considered by staff to try and figure out how to provide some more clarity for community members or you all as a board to understand where the dollars are actually going in projects. And I understand that it's always going to be shades of gray because where the sidewalk ends and where the street begins and signals, all that stuff, understood, but at least to get some sort of representative number of, okay, X percent of our dollars are going this way or the other way, or for each of the projects. That would be something that I think I would strongly encourage staff to continue to work on.
All right. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. Georgina?
Good afternoon, board members. I am Georgina Campero, and as a mother of young children, I want to be able to bike with my kids to the school, their park, and nearby places. Right now, I don't feel safe doing that. The roads are too fast, the crossings are too wide, and there aren't enough protected paths. So instead, we drive, even for short trips. That's not because we want to. It's because we don't have a real choice. I'm asking you to invest more in safe sidewalks, protected bike lanes, and slower, safer streets so families like mine have options. When it's safe, people will walk and bike. Right now, it isn't. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Jose? Oh. Love it.
I brought the heavyweight. Okay. Good afternoon, Chair and board members. My name is Jose Loyola. I'm a parent and an Austin resident. Earlier this year, I started a bike bus program at my son's school. That experience made something painfully clear. In too much of Central Texas, children do not have real freedom to move around unless an adult drives them. What I've learned is that transportation decisions made in rooms like this become the environment our children experience every single day. Car dependency is not just a transportation issue. For children, it is a freedom issue. Kids should be able to safely reach schools, parks, libraries, and transit without needing a car ride for every trip. CAMPO's job is not just to move today's traffic. It is to shape the communities our children will inherit. The question is not whether Central Texas will grow. The question is, what kind of childhood will that growth create? This board will help determine whether the next generation grows up with more freedom and independence, or with the expectation that they have to do a car ride for every trip. When you evaluate transportation projects, I ask you that you consider just one simple question. Will this give the next generation more freedom or less? The decisions you make today will help that future, will shape that future. Please help build a region where our children's freedom does not have to end at the edge of a 6-lane road.
Give us options.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. And thank you for showing your children how democracy works. Really appreciate that, my friend. Next up would be Luke Weber, then Richard Mendoza, and last but not least, Kristen Pipkin.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Luke. I am a resident of Austin. I also graduated from UT last month. I want to begin by expressing my disappointment in CAMPO's continued investment in roadway widening projects, particularly when CAMPO's own stated goals are to decrease emissions by lowering vehicle miles traveled. Whether you like it or not, induced demand is very real, and these projects only spur more driving and more sprawl. But I know that you know this, so instead I want to share a quick story. Jose talked about the experience of children in our community. I want to talk about the experience of my grandma. She is 85 years old, and she lives in a suburb of Atlanta where forced car ownership is the norm. She's incredibly active. She loves to hang out with her friends, visit her favorite restaurants and bakeries. However, she's reached the age where she no longer feels comfortable driving for every single trip. And witnessing her lose this autonomy and vibrancy has been really hard. She spends all of her time stuck at home alone. And because of this, she recently made the very difficult decision to pack up the home that she shared with her late husband for decades and move across the country to Minneapolis, which is a city that is prioritizing alternative transportation and will enable her to reclaim this independence. And I know this experience feels far off for many of us, and I want you to really think about the future that you're constructing for millions of people, whether they are old or young. And I want you to meditate on how you would like to spend those years of your life once you reach it. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Richard? I know, she's last.
Good morning, Board. Richard Mendoza. I apologize. I signed up to speak inadvertently. I'm actually thought it was a sign-in sheet for meeting attendance, but I'm here to answer any questions on later agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm assuming Kristen's the same way? Yes. Way to sell her out. Way to sell her out. Okay. Item 3, executive session. Under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the board may recess into a closed session, deliberate on any item on this agenda. The chairman announces the item will be deliberated in executive session, identifies the section or sections of Chapter 551 that authorize the meeting in executive session. A final action, decision, or vote on a matter deliberated in executive session will be made only after the board reconvenes in the opening meeting. Gang, I would like for us to recess to executive session for item 6, discussion and consideration, possible action on the recommendation and transportation Policy Board Executive Committee to appoint Mr. Ryan Collins as interim executive director of the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, known as CAMPO. And item 11, discuss and take appropriate action on 2021 call for projects. It is 2:14 and we are in executive session. You're in that room. All right, I'm going to do what I do in my city council. Oh, well, we don't even have our executive director here. Excellent. Did you go print these out? Do what? Did you go print these out, or do you already have these ready to go? Ken prints them out. Not me. That's impressive. It's 3:01 p.m. We're back from executive session. No decisions were made. Item number 4, report from the Technical Advisory Committee. Chad?
The Technical Advisory Committee met on May 18th, and we had just one item on the agenda. It was the call for projects. Staff updated the TAC on some of the changes made to the list of recommended projects based on the previous policy board meeting. We had some discussion about potentially delaying the recommendation, but ultimately the majority of the TAC members voted in favor of approving the call for project list as presented in the background material and recommending that for board approval. That's all I have.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Chad? Okay. Item number 5, discuss and take appropriate action on the May 11, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move approval, Long.
Okay.
Second.
Do I have- Who was the second?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 6, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the recommendation of the Transportation Policy Board's Executive Committee to appoint Mr. Ryan Collins as interim executive director of the Capital Area Planning Organization. So, as we discussed before, is that Ashby is retiring at the end of this month, and we're looking at to see from an interim standpoint who we're going to have in this place. How things are going. As everyone is aware of, this organization has been a high-functioning organization for a long period of time. It hasn't always been this way. So whoever we decide, whoever we put in that seat, it's essential for them to be able to go ahead and make sure that we keep the momentum that we have here. Now more than ever, given the number of projects that we have going on, it's more and more imperative for us to have tranquility, cohesiveness, and teamwork mentality when it comes to things. The executive committee met and we interviewed 4 candidates for this, and we recommend Mr. Ryan Collins as our interim executive director. Ashby, is there anything you want to say?
I'll say thank you to the executive committee and to legal counsel for the process that was followed. And Ryan has been with CAMPO now for 10 years. Actually, he was hired when I came in, hard worker, and I have every expectation that he'll be successful.
Okay. All right.
So was that a motion and you're looking for a second?
I have not made the motion. I was going to have
I
a
thought-
first and second. So would you like to make a motion, Commissioner?
So I move that we appoint Ryan Collins as interim executive director, effective, Ashby, what date?
July 1st.
July 1st. Second.
Second. Okay. Have a first and second. Who?
Commissioner Eagle.
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Mr. Collins, you're interim executive director. Congratulations.
And that motion included the temporary salary in the recommendation.
Yes, we did make a temporary salary increase for you to make sure we compensate for your role. So,
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you all so much for the opportunity. I look forward to working with you starting on July 1st, and also just want to say thank you to Ashby. You know, I've worked for him for 10 years, and it's going to be really difficult to see him leave, and it's been a privilege to work for him. But, you know, I feel very confident about the future and how he's prepared me and given me opportunities. It's thanks to him, and appreciate everyone, and look forward to the work starting on July 1st. So,
appreciate it, Ryan. And I just noticed I have a public comment from Miriam Schofield to speak on this item. Hi, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Miriam Schoenfield here from WeThink. Congratulations to Mr. Collins, and thank you, Mr. Ashby, for your service to CAMPO. We're just here to ask that some information be provided at this meeting about how the process will move forward for selecting a permanent ED for CAMPO. This is obviously a very important regional decision, and we'd like to understand things like how the job description, the initial slate of candidates, the recruitment process, et cetera, will take place, and how the board and the public will be able to weigh in throughout the process. Thank you.
Okay, I'm telling y'all, I did not ask for her to set me up. But item 7, discuss and consideration and possible action authorizing the chairman of the Transportation Policy Board to identify and retain a professional executive search firm to identify and recommend qualified candidates for the permanent executive director of CAMPO. We have an interim director. That's great. But I believe that it's important and vital for us to do a national search nonetheless in the process right there. Ashby, we want to comment about or any firms or how that would actually look at regarding from a standpoint?
So one of the things that I've been tasked to do is to make a recommendation on a executive search firm to help the policy board with this item. And so I have gone to some of my sister agencies across the state to ask who they used and what they thought about that. But I also went to the person who runs the National MPO Association and asked for recommendations there, because there's been several other MPOs across the country that have gone through this process recently. And as of Friday evening, the National Association had sent me some names for recruiters, and they also sent me, at my request, the job postings for similar job postings, recent job postings for Dallas, Houston, and a few others across the country. So I'm going to look at those postings, and then I'm going to draft something and give that to the chairman to look at and see how he wants to proceed before it's posted nationally.
So, and I appreciate, and that's why I really appreciate what Miriam had to say. I mean, whoever has to be in this position, we want to make sure we have clarity on what the goals, requirements are, the job duties and obligations, and an appropriate process that allows sunlight for anyone to see with it as well. I think that it's an interesting time to be looking for an executive director for an MPO, given what's going on with some of our compatriots, not only in the state, but around the country. I also know that all too well that it's such a finite amount of people who actually fit into this role, into this opportunity and this obligation to be setting an organization like this from there as well. So thoughts from the rest of y'all? Yes, sir.
So what's the process going to look like for the board specifically to provide input on the posting and the recommendations for the new ED?
I'm not expecting from it to be too dissimilar from the process that was used previously to go hire Ashby. So I guess we should ask our resident historian how the process was right there as well. And look at her already knowing who we're talking about.
So and I vaguely remember, but we did a search. We narrowed it down. There was I believe it was the executive committee at the time that conducted interviews, and then I think we had an opportunity also for the top two to have some interaction with the public. Oh, no, we didn't do that, sorry, we didn't do that, different role.
Could we
and-
do that this time around, though?
And then we made a recommendation to the board, but then the full board had the opportunity to meet with the candidates as well if they wanted to.
Excellent.
That's just kind of how we did it before.
Yeah, I'm
Ashby,
sorry.
did I miss something? You were, I just remember
no.
Sam Bisco's question.
Yeah, my only follow-up question is that this time around, can we do something with the finalists to meet with the public? I know at the city, we've done that with the city manager and APD chief and anyone else who's come in, and I think it's been beneficial for us to see. So.
I disagree with anybody else, but yeah, we've done the same thing. You're right. For our last process, at least for our city, we specifically made it clear for our city manager and for our police chief. I mean, those are two public-facing positions that I think it's important for the public to at least get some interaction with and then get some feedback from. I think it's one thing for us to sit in these roles as policymakers. It's another thing for the interaction with the public at hand with that. So I don't see anything wrong or issues with that as well. Or you're about to say, Ashby.
I was, I was just gonna say, when I went through this, at the stage that we were doing interviews, and this was under City of Austin, they did inform me that my name would show up in the papers being interviewed for the job. So I knew that. I will say sometimes going through the public interviews will limit.
Who will actually go for the position?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
No,
keep that in mind. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a public process, because there will be.
Yeah.
Because once the executive committee interviews, there's a recommendation back to this board, and that's in public, and the vote is in public, like it was when I went through the job. And that discussion is there. So I'll just say that. It's something to consider.
So my thought process on this item, team, is this. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just say that, I mean, I think that there should be a path that you can go down up into a certain point that you can remain anonymous and private, and then after that point, it becomes public so that we can, have a chance for candidates to apply who may not want everyone to know that they're applying. But then, then at some point, once, they reach a certain part in the process, it becomes public, and they've kind of got to decide whether or not they're willing to take that step.
I mean, they're putting their name in the hat, right? So, any other thoughts?
I think there's a way to invite participation from the public. They could submit questions they'd like considered. Assuming we're going to have some professional help, I think we could give direction to the staff to expect in the scope of that professional help that there's some kind of public engagement, and then we'll figure out, they'll figure out, we can approve what that is. But we too, when we're hiring execs, we figure out how to engage the public.
Yeah. No, I didn't call on you.
Well, I never listened to you anyway. but I think the point shouldn't be lost. I think that it is good to have public engagement, but it is also good that we don't push people out there until we get to our finalist list, because you will lose a number of quality folks who have a good job, where they're respected, have the capacity to do more, and would have if they didn't have to let you know until they were finalists. I just want to make sure that we protect the folks that might be excellent in this position.
Thank you, Commissioner, because that's the way it was happening. It happened with me.
So, and I think this is really good input, and this is great to hear the different ideas on this. My suggestion on this item, and obviously, we haven't had a vote on it or anything else, is to allow for me to help go ahead and retain an exec firm, search firm, as Commissioner Howard spoke about. Then we can talk about what criterion we want them to look at and how they shape all that, but get the ball rolling on that, so that ultimately we can ultimately figure out who our candidate is. I know that the process for San Antonio, did it take 9 to 12?
It was a little over a year.
About a year. And
Houston was the same.
Houston was the same way. Dallas is North Texas is in an interesting place right now as well. So, I think that should be the expectation from the public and everybody else in this board about how the process should look at there as well. So, do I have a motion?
A motion to approve as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. We ignore Commissioner Trevillion's vote, so we got it. Thank you. All right. Item number 8, discussion and take appropriate action on CAMPO appointment to the Cap Metro Board. Yeah.
So this is one of the slots that this body appoints to the Capital Metro Board. The person who is currently serving in this slot is, oh, I always forget her name.
Diane Bangle.
Thank you. It's Diane Bangle, and I talked to her last week.
But we appreciate you, Diane. We do appreciate you.
So I did speak with her last week and asked her if she was willing to continue to serve, and she told me she is definitely interested in continuing to serve.
Can we get any feedback from any Cap Metro Board members on her service?
Yes, you may. I can say that she is always available, very hardworking, very engaged with the entire board, has been a pleasure to work with, and is an exceptional person, and I'm happy that she would be willing to serve again. And with that, I will move her appointment.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, item 9, we got an email from TxDOT Planning and Programming Division last week, and that's the organization, the department that we normally work with to do these agreements. They have asked us not to execute at this point. They sent the draft agreement to us, and they said they're not quite ready yet and asked that we defer it. And it's not related to us, it's North Texas. So.
Okay. Well, we got our direction on item 9. Okay. So that was the discussion. I guess we won't be taking appropriate action on it. Item 10, discussion and take appropriate action on FY 26 and 27 Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP Amendments number 3. Teresa.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Is it working? Sorry. Today we're here to discuss UPWP fiscal year 2026 and 2027 Amendment number 3. We are adding $900,000 of transportation planning funds for operating expenses, which includes professional services and some payroll expenses. We are also adding $1 million of USDOT Build America Bureau funds for Capital Metro's Unity and Transit project. That was by their request. So the staff is requesting that the Transportation Policy Board approve the UPWP Amendment number 3 and its accompanying resolution 2026-6-10. And I'll take any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. Questions? All right. Do I have a motion?
Move approval. Long.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay. Oh. Thank you, Ann. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right. Item 11, discussion and take appropriate action on the 2028-2031 call for projects. Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Chair. So this item is the final item for the 28 to 2031 call for projects. This process, as we discussed last time, has been ongoing for over a year. We completed the evaluation last month and provided you with a preliminary recommendation last month. So today, because we have a lot of information to go through, I wanted to provide you all a physical copy to kind of walk through the individual projects. This slide is really just a high-level summary of the sponsors and the funding programs. But there's also additional information in the interactive dashboard report as well that's linked in the background materials. And for anybody in the audience, the materials that I provided the policy board are the project lists that were in the backup materials if you want to follow along. And so, yeah, this recommendation is to allocate with match, I guess, $432 million to local transportation projects that were submitted by local sponsors for funding. And so based on that recommendation, we're recommending $257 million in surface transportation block grant funding, $34.4 million in transportation alternative set-aside funding, or TASA, which is specifically for bike and pedestrian infrastructure. We are still recommending carbon reduction program funding, even though that program may not exist, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We also have TIFIA funding as well for $5.4 million. And then $23.4 million is Category 2. If everyone remembers, we swapped out $23.4 million in Category 2 funding for Category 7 to put on the 183A frontage roads projects in January. And so that $23.4 million in Category 2 is representative of that swap. So there are a lot of, if you look at the main recommendation list, there are quite a few footnotes, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of them that I think are really critical. I do want to point out that all the funding amounts and recommendations are based on projected program funding amounts that are subject to change based on federal funding legislation. We are watching very closely the Infrastructure and Investments Jobs Act, which is the current authorization, expires at the end of this fiscal year, which is September 30th of 2026. So we're watching very closely what is happening in DC regarding the next reauthorization and whether or not there'll be a continuing resolution. I think at this point it's probably safe to say that there will be a continuing resolution that will continue the IIJA into the next fiscal year. But we'll be keeping you updated on that every month as we learn what's happening in DC. Right now there is the Build 250, which came out of the House T&I committee. It is under discussions as well, and we provided a memo in your background materials as well, just to kind of keep you updated on what that means for the programs that you are authorizing. The carbon reduction program, as I had mentioned, we are still recommending that for the Cap Metro hybrid bus fleet program. We have been in touch with Cap Metro staff, and they are aware that the carbon reduction program may not continue in the authorization. But we thought it was still prudent to continue to recommend this project if the funding is there and available, that Cap Metro can use it at that time. However, if it does not exist, they understand that funding will go away. And so just wanted to point that out as well. I think the other thing, so all projects and sponsors, they're going to be required to demonstrate continual project progress. So every 3 months, projects that are awarded through this process, they'll go through the local government project procedures through the TxDOT Austin District. We will be keeping close tabs on all projects and reporting back to this board on the status of those projects, ensuring that they are moving forward. Regarding low-risk projects, these are projects we will be automatically including in the Transportation Improvement Program based on their low-risk profile. I do want to point out that all moderate risk projects that are being recommended, these are contingent recommendations, and in the award letter and in the full report that you see online, there's information on what we will need from the project sponsors to rectify the moderate risk that we identified. Oftentimes, this is just additional information that we need from the project sponsors, and so we'll be coordinating with them to get that information prior to putting it in the Transportation Improvement Program, and we'll be reporting that information back to the policy board in October during the fall amendment cycle. And I believe the only other thing I wanted to note is that all planning projects are going to be, even though CAMPO is not listed as the project sponsor, these are partnership studies that will be partnered with the local agency that is listed. Will partner with CAMPO for those planning studies. And I believe, I did want to go through the changes from last month just so everybody is aware. So in the memorandum that went out with your board materials, the changes that have occurred on the project list since you saw it last month. we were able to add some projects. So one thing we did is we went back and looked at all TASA-eligible projects that were considered high risk to see if we could get any of those off high center, because TASA funding does expire after 4 years if you don't put it on a project. So balancing that risk of losing the funding versus a project that may not be quite far enough along, we changed some recommendations on a few of those projects. Namely the 3 Great Springs projects that are partnership studies with Hays County, as well as the City of Buda, have been added to the recommendation, as well as the City of Kyle's Philomena sidewalk projects. So those projects have been added, and then additionally, oh, sorry, I'm looking at my list here. Because we were able to, we also went and visited all of the STBG recommended projects. Because we had itemized cost estimates and line items in the budget, we were able to identify TASA-eligible activities within those projects. And so we reduced the amount of STBG funding on those recommendations and added TASA funding to those recommendations. And because of that, we were able to free up additional surface transportation block grant funding and continue moving down the list and adding projects. And so when we did that, we added the Industrial Oaks Boulevard Planning Study from the City of Austin, County Road 138 for Williamson County, as well as at that point in time, TxDOT's US 183 South Schematic. After that happened, TxDOT, the Austin District, formally withdrew the US 183 Schematic project, which again freed up additional STBG funding, about $3 million. And so using that amount, we continued down the list after that withdrawal, and we were able to add the Hays County project FM 2001 gapped Precinct 1, which was, we had already recommended Precinct 2, so that completes that gap project. And then we were also able to add TxDOT's US 290 West Schematic. So all in all, we were able to add 8 projects to the recommendation. Only 1 project was removed, and that was at the request of the project sponsor. So those are all of the changes that we have to date to the recommendation here. And then I know we'll have some discussion about a potential project in Dean Keaton, but I'll just open it up for questions right now. That's how we got to this current recommendation, and I'll take any questions.
Ryan, for the public again, can you give again either criterion or the line delineation between critical and moderate projects?
Yes. So when we do the readiness assessment and risk assessment, we have 4 tiers basically. We have low risk. There's no such thing as a non-risk project. Every project's going to have its issues, and so we evaluate projects where they are in the development process, making sure that everything is verified, and so that we have every confidence when we're giving a recommendation to the policy board that a project can move forward. Low risk is the best you can get. Moderate risk is a project that had a very isolated issue that we saw that could be rectified fairly quickly and would not impact the recommendation on other projects, meaning it doesn't change how much funding would be allocated to that project, which is an important thing. Distinction, because if it impacted the cost estimate, then it would impact how much funding we have available for other projects. And so that's moderate risk. High risk are projects that have significant issues identified that would impact the cost estimate and delay the project significantly. And then we had critical risk projects. That was the highest tier, and this was basically if we were missing a tremendous amount of information on the project, or it was way too early in the project development process to have any confidence that it could move forward through to the phase that's being requested, then it would be a critical risk project.
Okay. Thank you, Bud. Any questions, y'all? Okay. Well, oh, yes, sir.
I have a question on a specific project. The PFA 103, that's second project on the spreadsheet. There's a notation in the memo that it's awaiting some further clarification from the Austin District. Can you address that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a typo in the cost estimate that we identified for SH71 initially. So their original request was 1.7. And based on that typo, we thought the amount was much less than that, and so we requested them to clarify that clerical error in the cost estimate, and we got that clarification from the district, and we always had that money. We kept it there kind of put aside just until we got clarification, and we received that, and so now it's 1.7, the original amount that was requested. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Chair, on behalf of the CAP Metro staff in the City of Austin, I wanted to lay a motion on the floor for discussion regarding the call for projects, specifically a motion to amend the award package for the 2031 call for projects to redirect $3,720,704 in federal funding from CAP Metro's bus stop and street furniture and equipment program, which is PFA 104, to the City of Austin's Dean Keaton Transit Betterment Project, which is PFA 154. The city will provide the required local match for the Dean Keaton project.
Okay. Let's have a discussion about that.
You need a second.
I think I heard the second.
I didn't hear the heaps.
Oh, that was the attorney.
I'll
I thought that was
second
Joe
it.
Don. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Discussion. Who wants to add some clarity to that
I
amendment?
guess I'll kick it off, and I would just encourage folks, I know there's city staff, there's Cap Metro staff here, so to ask any and all questions. But I'll just kick it off on, and I don't know if this is going to be, I would think it would be Director Mendoza, who I believe is here, just on the timeliness of this, you know, if there's a urgency to it, why that would be.
When we meet again.
Thank you, board member. This one will be a better outcome, I hope. And so, yes, in terms of the timeliness, for the I-35 Dean Keaton Transit Betterment Project, it is going to intersect with the CapEx I-35 project downtown in the university area. And in our coordination and collaboration with the TxDOT, they've indicated to us that if we're able to get the funding for the design and construction, it could be rolled and incorporated into the larger CapEx I-35 project by this November. If we miss that funding commitment, then it would be subject to later cost escalations, either via change orders, and if it's delayed even further after 2032, there's a 10-year moratorium on construction.
So just to be clear, one of the rationales behind this request, an impossible amendment, is given the fact that from a funding standpoint, it's critical to get this funded now or a possible escalation in the future for the appropriate funding for the project. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
And then I have another question. How can the city assist Cap Metro in the bus stop and street furniture program if their funding is reduced today?
Thank you for that question. First, just a little bit of context around the transit service at Dean Keaton and I-35. You know, presently, the bus service can run unimpeded underneath I-35 as well as the access roads. With the construction of the new I-35, the current design has the transit service, which is being enhanced by Project Connect, that's the Expo bus rapid transit line, will now be expected to go through a controlled interchange with the I-35 north and southbound access roads. So this project is intended to provide dedicated bus centerline busways through that intersection so that that seamless transit service can continue post I-35 project. And so the 4.7 million is what TxDOT needs now as a commitment to keep the current I-35 project on schedule. And the cost estimate was worked with staff from both TxDOT and City of Austin. So in order to get the funding to meet that opportunity, I've respectfully coordinated with Cap Metro staff on this redirection or reallocation, if you will, of the bus stop furniture and improvement project. And so how they would be made whole is they would not be constructing all the new furniture and transit enhancements at one time. This would be over multiple years. The city has a long-standing ILA with Cap Metro for bus stop enhancements, primarily around ADA accessibility, as well as ADA accommodations at the bus stops. So it's my plan to incorporate making Cap Metro whole in future city ILAs on the transit enhancement programs, which has been an ongoing program that we've enjoyed in partnership, a successful one as well with Cap Metro going forward, either in a 26 or potential 28 funding scenario.
So Richard, to be clear, the request would be for Cap Metro, which, again, you've spoken to them about it, to, for better lack of term, lend you the funds for this the applicable project. The estimate that you provided was come in conjunction between your department and TxDOT for, I'm assuming these are $26.
So this would be 28. I believe the cost estimates are based on 28 when the Camp Metro funding would be made available.
Oh, my apologies. I probably wasn't clear. For the estimate for the applicable project, the dollars, are they dollars, $26? Are they taking into consideration of possible inflation in the future when the project ultimately gets executed? Because from what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that it's the reliability and necessity to have that money now and have that funding now to be able to guarantee that with TxDOT is what's necessary for you to do right here. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And yes, the timing is critical so that this design can be incorporated right now into the existing TxDOT design package to be let this, the commitment they need is by this November for letting.
So Ryan, I wanted to hear a little bit more about, oh, I'm so sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I don't have a technical question. I really have more of a process question before we dive into the details of the merits of the project. Is this something that the board is even willing to entertain? Because I'm confident that there are other entities that have projects that they'd like to do some horse trading on as well. And, but this literally opens up Pandora's box. We have a process that we've gone through, and the project that the city's talking about is rated high risk, and it only scored 46. There are other projects higher up. So, I mean, it's like saying, oh, we're gonna pluck this one out and put it up higher. And I'm not picking on the city of Austin. It could be a Wilco project for all that matter. But I think we have adopted a process that has been thoroughly vetted. The community has seen it. All of our stakeholders have seen it. And I think at this point, to do something like that would be highly discouraging for those of us who did follow the process. And I'm not saying the city of Austin didn't, but I think to change that today would be really detrimental to our process.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate the thoughts, Commissioner, on that. And to Ryan, to the Commissioner's point, this was what was this project rated?
Critical and 46.6.
Why was it rated critical?
So 46.6 is the score for the project. So the cutoff line is typically, I mean, it's around 60.
Okay. So why was it?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My apologies. So it was rated, the score, the cut line around 60, it rated 46.6. Why was that the case?
That was just based on the score, on the benefit evaluation, as well as the cost-benefit analysis. I need to go back and look at the specifics, but I think it was the cost-benefit analysis in particular that was the main contributor to where it landed in the scoring process.
So,
and I think in another piece of that, the benefit evaluation is this project is so early in the development process that there was a lot of information that we couldn't get in order to accurately assess the benefits of it. So that was also a challenge as well.
And to that point, that's what I was trying to figure out, because I know that there's been, as you articulated earlier in this meeting, the other projects you were trying to rehabilitate, you had went ahead and talked to the agency and said what we can do about this in this instance. When you went back and spoke to the agency about this project, and you said something about the cost and the estimate, what did you get?
So I think it's probably worth going into why we considered it a critical risk, and because one of the things is that this project was requesting construction funding, and how our process goes is that if you are requesting construction funding, you need to be well into design so that we have a very good idea of what it's going to take to construct that project. So like have a line item budget with all of the materials that are going to be needed, and the project's not going to change. And I think the challenge with this project, for better or for worse, is that it's in the conceptual stage. You saw the materials in the background memo that we provided. It's just very early. I don't think there's any detailed engineering on it, and because of that, there are just a tremendous amount of unknowns on that project. We don't know how much it's going to cost. It's a planning level estimate, which is valid for the planning stage, but when we go into construction, we need a construction level type of estimate with that type of details. That way, it minimizes the risk of this board investing in something that may be completely different by the time it's built. That was the primary contributing factor to the risk assessment, and because it's still conceptual, again, we were missing a lot of the information we needed to do a very thorough cost-benefit analysis. So.
What were you trying to say, Ashby?
So Ryan covered a lot of it. So I had a question for Mr. Mendoza, and perhaps it's for Ms. Pipkin. So the CPRG grant, discretionary federal grant that y'all got for how much? 47 million? This would be an eligible activity under that grant funding, and that funding is available today, and you wouldn't have to go through an advanced funding agreement, so that would save time as well and address some of the timing issue that you laid out. What's the issue with that? I mean, because we laid that out in the memo as a possible funding option, and I'd like to hear what the issue is.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for that suggestion. We did take that back and look at that against our EPA grant. It was for 49 or $48.7 million, I believe. And so that program is well underway. We've gone through 1 year of planning and stakeholder engagement process and have received EPA approval on our work plan. We also have we're in the second year, ending the second year of that program, and we're under I believe it's a 5-year timeline to complete the entire program. The capital component of that 49 million was only $10.5 million and involved a number of improvements and creation, if you will, of multiple mobility hubs. These mobility hubs we have are planning for all over our region and has undergone quite a bit of stakeholder engagement. When we looked at repurposing or redirecting that capital funding over to supporting the Dean Keaton Expressway, it would require pretty extensive going back out, receiving a work plan amendments and approvals from EPA, and would put our 5-year timeline to complete the entire program at risk. So for that reason, we would prefer not to utilize the CPRG funds for this. One additional note, we understood when we applied for construction funding, and by the way, the preliminary engineering for Dean Keaton was approved, so thank you for the support on that, CAMPO staff. But we understood going in that the construction part, per the letter of the criteria in terms of eligibility and project readiness, it did not meet and would not score well. That's why we've done quite a bit of working behind the scenes with the designers working on CapEx to ensure our preliminary concept fit within their currently 30% design cross-section, so that this change would not result in any potential added right-of-way or utility conflicts. And so that was, and we wanted to make that statement for consideration of an exception to those readiness criteria. And then again, working with our partners at TxDOT, we feel confident in the current cost estimate that it's conservative enough to affect this to occur with the baseline TxDOT project.
Okay, so, and I appreciate one, an understanding of the issues with the CPRG grant and the amount of time it might take to go back and amend it. And I'm wondering, would it take more time to go back and amend that as it might take to go back and redo some of the I-35 project and to get the AFA? And some of that I say because I understand that, you know, there's been public outreach on the CPRG grant and the plan for that, but there's also been public outreach done for I-35, which has been going on for quite some time. So we're kind of all in the same bucket there, and I'm just wondering how onerous is it to go back to EPA and revise the plan?
Is that necessary?
It's not necessary, but in my opinion, it might be faster, and it's a lot cleaner. They're not going to ask some of the questions that we're asking the staff.
Okay. Do you have a response, Richard?
I've not had that conversation with the EPA right now, so I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay. No, not a problem at all. So normally, Ashby, if we had an entity that declined an amount of funds, what would we normally do?
So normally, the way this process works, and we have an example of that in this package today, that's the US 183 South schematic that was withdrawn by the district. The process is we get a written request from the sponsor asking to withdraw. In this case, Capital Metro would ask to withdraw, well, to reduce the amount of funding by $3.8 million. The process then is we go to the next project on this list, and then that is looked at as an option. So from a process standpoint, what's being asked is that we abandon the process.
What would that project be that would?
The next project would be the FM 1826 schematic design. So for board members that have been on for at least a year, if you've been on longer than that, then you know the 1826 folks come in a few times a year to ask about that project. And Brandon Tucker, well, Ryan will know. So the limits, was this the Hayes County portion, or was it the Travis County, or both?
It was both.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman? I guess also a question. I know that before entities submitted their projects, we had city councils or boards or whatever approve that submittal, right? So, you know, and has there been any board action either at the City of Austin or Cap Metro asking for this to happen, or is just sounds like it's just a staff level thing, and those respective entities haven't even weighed in?
So, Richard, is there any way for you to articulate or talk about any public engagement regarding this possible amendment?
So has the City of Austin City Council instructed you to make this request, and has the Cap Metro Board voted on this? Because I know City of Cedar Park and Georgetown and Buda voted on what they were submitting, and so to make this kind of change, I would think it would also, or even ask for this kind of change, I would think it would require action by both those bodies.
So either public engagement or representative action by those specific bodies. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Shurmila Mukherjee. I serve as Cap Metro's Executive Vice President, Chief Planning and Development Officer, and I didn't mean to boot Richard out. I was just hoping that I would be able to add some clarity to the discussion. First of all, from the process perspective, Cap Metro Board does not require, we do not require our board to take action on the discretionary grants on the call for projects typically. We do that when it comes to CAMPO call for projects as an extension of the process that CAMPO established. Typically, we do not go to the board. What we are reacting to today is the request from City of Austin, the letter that you have on your package that details out why we are supportive of the project. It's a bus dedicated center running bus lanes that would serve our federal investment that's funded by federal Small Start, CIG, Capital Investment Grant funded Expo project that's going in full service currently. It would help that project. In addition to it would also help two of our other routes maintaining transit speed and reliability. So since it's a transit supportive project, the overall project goal and objectives remain the same. It's the letter from our CEO is the level of documentation that we have and we submitted to you. And I'm here to answer any additional questions you may have.
And I appreciate you coming to the mic to talk about this. I know that for a lot of people, part of the concern has been how late this was brought to our attention. And additionally speaking, it sounds to me that it's a funding source issue, and to make sure you get the applicable funds in time for TxDOT to move forward with its idea as a project. That's why it was brought up and questioned about the discretionary funds, the $47 million or so. How could that be, or could it be a possibility to be spent here as well with that? I do want to hear more from our, there we go, that's what I was about to ask. I was about to say from our Cap Metro people and from TxDOT. Amy, let's go with you first.
I guess I'm second. You want to go first? Oh, great. I just had a question for not Cap Metro, sorry, for TxDOT. I don't know if someone from TxDOT could answer this, but as it relates to this project, on how it touches on the environmental side of the I-35 project.
So, I'm assuming you're asking.
I'm asking TxDOT.
Oh, well, then you want to look down here.
Yeah, Tucker could.
This feature is not included in our environmental clearance for the I-35 CapEx Central project. So it would have to get re-cleared as a separate standalone project, or we would do a reevaluation on I-35. So this is not environmentally cleared.
So it's not currently included?
No.
Reeval, Brandon, what would a reeval or standalone?
A year.
6 months to a year, I would say.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will go now.
I thought you were going to defer.
Well, I deferred for a moment. Am I on now? So a question I have, just thinking about the process for this call for projects is, let's just say we vote on the projects today, and 2 months from now, there's a project that can't start moving forward, or 3 months from now, whenever the first check happens, there's projects that aren't meeting that timeliness requirement. What happens to the funding from those projects under this process?
Go ahead, Ashby.
So, as staff, we would come back to the board and say that it appears that those projects can't proceed on the timeline that we originally thought. And if the delay is significant enough, we would ask that that the funding be deobligated by this body and then apply it to the next project on the list.
So we'd apply it down to the next one.
Okay, so we will potentially be making amendments from this call for projects. I guess what I would say is the process here feels a little bit like there's not enough documentation yet to understand what we're exactly voting on. And if I understand the timeliness issue of November. I think, I've seen this body, before I was on this body, there was a huge investment by this region in the I-35 project. Everyone put their time and their energy and the federal funding into that project. And so, of course, we all want to see it done correctly. I also think we're at the point where there needs to be more information so that we know what we're voting on. And that's one part of it. And I think the thing from the policy standpoint is if we have a process in place where if an entity isn't going to use all of their money, it's going to the next project on the list, making exceptions for that should be something that requires more information, in my mind.
Yeah. May I
Mayor?
request?
I'm so sorry. I was What's that, guys? Mayor Thompson, were you going to say something?
Yeah, my question was really, it got skipped or it didn't get answered, but the question was the city of Austin, did they provide some documentation that shows that they requested that you guys come here and request this change? And I didn't hear the answer for that.
Certainly. So our city council did act on and approve the candidate projects that city staff submitted. And so that went through the exercise, and we came back with the projects that were recommended for award, and we reviewed that. I think it totaled about $30 million. Then we reviewed the projects that were not recommended for award. And so that was a staff exercise to go back and work with CAMPO to try and answer any questions of where the basis of some of those risks were assessed, thus not recommended for award. But no, we didn't take anything back to City Council as a whole body for instruction to explore means by which this high priority transit project could get awarded. I did confer, of course, with our Transportation City of Austin Policy Board members here today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking that question, Mayor Thompson. I was going to actually, so real quick, I was going to say, Councilmember Lane, my apologies. I didn't see you and I forgot. Yeah, okay. I didn't have anything to add. Okay. Go ahead, yes.
If this motion isn't to pass, how would that affect the city? And then likewise for TxDOT, for Tucker, if this doesn't pass, how does this affect, I guess, the grand scheme of things? Because I know there's been a lot of community engagement. We're trying to get the best version of the 35 project, for example. If the motion doesn't happen, what does the future look like? I don't know, whoever wants to go first.
Councilmember, we'll go back to the drawing board, and we still have till November to try and identify funding for this opportunity.
Okay. And hold on one second.
And we are continuing to design our project, so the November deadline was to make any changes so we can incorporate it. So as all these pieces work together in our final design of a project, that's what the deadline that we had put on that.
Okay, so you're looking at about, is there 5 months? Yes, ma'am.
I have one clarifying comment on behalf of Cap Metro. The request that was submitted by my CEO, Dottie Watkins, it's the request to reduce the funding from what we've been allotted, and we're thankful for the consideration and the projects that got selected. I just wanted to clarify that it's specific to the request that city made in relation to this project. We have a great need for transit improvement and enhancement, and there's by no means we are implying here that we would not, we don't need that funds. We absolutely need that funds to be able to maximize our already constrained operating resources. So thank you for your consideration.
So for clarity's sake, you want to say, dude, we're not going to give the money back.
Correct.
Just unless it's for this.
So it's not
Okay.
going to the next project. We were only talking about the project that we are in question.
As somebody who said he didn't make the list, I was going to ask the next question. If you're willing, I'd be happy to trade. But now I know that's off the table.
Yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, what I'll say is this, and I've been here for a while. This has not always been a cohesive board. It has been the processes that we have put in place that have reduced the acrimony and actually had us work together as a team serving a region. It is difficult for me to look at the rankings and then choose to take something out that has been ranked well for something that has not been ranked as well, and not understand whether we're going to go with our normal process and remove dollars and put them with the next program, or whether we will create something that I don't think has a process. At the end of the day, we should have one set of rules, and we should live by the rules that we have. And at the end of, if we want to change the rules, we change the rules, not make difficult exceptions that might lead to board strife, which I have seen before. The processes that we have put in place have allowed us to work together, I think, effectively and cohesively. And I am concerned anytime we take an effective process and eliminate the outcomes that were prescribed by it.
I appreciate your thoughts on that, Commissioner, and honestly, Mayor and Commissioner Long as well, expressing those thoughts along those lines. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sorry. One more question, and then I just have some remarks, and then I promise I won't ask any more questions.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
And this is for Tucker. If the funding is met by the November deadline, can the environmental work still be done?
Yes, the environmental can still be done, and the work can be done at a later time through a change order process.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I'm supportive of the motion. I appreciate it being brought forward. You know, I think funding the implementation of the Dean Keaton project is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, we talked about that with the I-35 project as well. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's important to get it right to make sure that we better serve our underserved communities, especially in East Austin, and future regional commuters on I-35's managed lanes. So I think this is a truly a collaboration. It's Cap Metro, it's TxDOT, it's the city. We've gotten support from Senator Sarah Eckhart, who's supportive of this. And like I said, I'm done asking questions, but I do hope folks keep asking questions and getting answers and feeling comfortable about this motion.
So, Councilmember Quadra, based on what I'm hearing from everybody, is it possible for you to go back, I think Ms. Patillo put it best, and there's going to be some projects that are going to be, well, possibly, let's put it that way, that may come down the line and see what's going with the funding. But from a documentation standpoint, it seems like there are folks who are concerned about the lack thereof, and also when this was submitted. You have until, you said November to be able to get it to form. Is it possible to go look for some other funding mechanisms in place instead of this, or do you need? You tell me what you need. Do you need? I mean, we have a first and a second over here on this, so we can take a vote. But you tell me what you need.
I mean, I'm in favor of taking the vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Chair, I wrestle with this one because I tend to agree pretty strongly with Commissioner Trevillion's comments about process. The challenge that we have, and I will compliment our Cap Metro staff and the City of Austin for coming up with this idea. I mean, it seems like it's an interesting way to quote loan money from one organization to another, particularly just to solve what is arguably a timing problem. I think and then even in some of our backup materials, there were some other suggestions from staff about various STBG projects that the City of Austin had that they could pull back and then use that money to fund this also. I think the challenge becomes when we start going down that road that we're back into the horse trading that I think Commissioner Trevillion was referring to in terms of trying to, you vote for my project and I vote for yours, and then we'll figure out a way to make that work. And I don't think that benefits the region as a whole. There's no question that this project is a critical element. It's one of the critical east-west thoroughfares in Austin. It's also one that's going to be severely impacted by I-35. That said, it's $3.7 million. There's we have an opportunity till November to find some other sources of funds, and even after November, we can potentially reincorporate it later on through a change order, albeit with a potential cost increase to take that into account. We're talking I-35, the central project alone is an 8-10-year project to rebuild. So I guess where I'm standing right now, both as a Cap Metro board member and a CAMPO board member, and I specifically go back to Commissioner Long's question, the board, and I just checked, I just texted our staff, the board as a Cap Metro board never voted on this. And so what we did vote on was to authorize, the submission of the hybrid bus and also the bus stop improvements that were the subject of this reallocation proposal. you know, I'm not sure how the board would have viewed it, and I think we would have had the same discussion at the board level that we're having here at CAMPO, at the Cap Metro board level. So I guess where I'm landing with this right now is I would recommend that we not approve this motion, even though I was the one that laid it on the table, simply because of the fact I think there's some other alternatives that need to be explored in the next 6 months to a year to possibly reincorporate these designs at a later point. But
So colleague, if I could put it differently, I will make an alternative motion to approve the list as originally presented.
Yeah, and I already know Mayor Houston's looking at me, so process or Robert's rules. So because we have a first and second, I think unless someone pulls their their motion, we have to vote on that. But I do have a question, though, that I don't think anyone has addressed, which, I mean, this is a Ryan or Ashby question. Has anyone heard from the University of Texas on this?
To my knowledge, no, and that was one of the questions that I had posed to city staff.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just have a question. I guess it's more of a process. Could we postpone this item? A lot of people are talking about time and process and stakeholders like UT and others. Could we postpone this to the next meeting?
So what are the consequences of us postponing this amendment to the CALA project's approval?
Postponing the entire item or just the?
Just the.
Y'all tell me, how about both? Tell me what are the ramifications?
I think the only thing is timing. I mean, we have a lot of projects, and I think that it's really going to impact the district more than anything because they have a lot of work to do once y'all make this award, and there's a lot of work, and it also hurts the schedule for the moderate risk projects where we have to give them some additional homework.
Could we just postpone the item, the specific project? Yeah, could we do that?
So why don't you just withdraw your motion?
Yeah, if that's the procedural thing, I did it as put it on the table on behalf of staff in the city of Austin, but I can withdraw it.
Okay. Okay, so we're having them, well, do you formally withdraw your motion?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Does anyone want to second that amendment? See, I'm following the procedures.
Of withdrawal?
No. He withdraws his motion. He's still waiting for a second, so consequently, somebody could actually go ahead and actually jump in for the second. I gave it about 5 seconds. I'm assuming nobody wants to jump on that. So now it goes back to what the commissioner actually brought up, was approving item number 11 as presented.
So I'll second Commissioner Trevillion's motion.
Okay. And before we get to that, we have one speaker. Miriam's back. Hi, Miriam.
Good afternoon, Miriam Schoenfield here again from Rethink. I want to thank the CAMPO staff for all the work that went into putting this package together. We do have some concerns about the project selection process that have been, and the results that have emerged from it. One thing is that we really need to be thinking about the region overall. CAMPO covers 6 counties, and Williamson County, which has about a quarter of the population, got 62% of the dollars in this funding package. Nothing against Williamson County, it's a great place, but surely we should be aiming for some degree of regional equity in the funding distribution. Second, this body has a goal of reducing vehicle miles traveled per capita for the purposes of addressing congestion, safety, and air quality. Our region has been failing miserably at this goal. Our region has had the greatest increase in VMT per capita in Texas and the 8th largest in the nation in the last 5 years. And the only way to solve this is to invest in a truly multimodal system. The community recognizes this as well, as revealed by the community input on the last tip that was discussed at the last CAMPO meeting, and a recent TechStat survey showing that 79% of Texans want improved bicycle and pedestrian networks. The funding package is not responsive to these needs. CAMPO has historically designated at least 15% of surface transportation block grant funding to alternative modes. In this funding package, it's only 3.5% going to those modes. To make matters worse, the transportation alternatives funding, which is desperately needed to address gaps in the network, is being used to fund roadway projects that have active transportation elements in them. Finally, there are several high-scoring projects and much-needed regionally significant projects, including transit and active transportation, that were denied because of various specific elements of the risk assessment. There's a lot to say about how the risk assessment was done, and I'll just note here that CAMPO's way of approaching risk assessment is quite atypical amongst peer MPOs, and that should be looked at as part of the broader process of reevaluating our project selection criteria. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Okay. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to affirm that this body will be doing work on scoring of projects and modeling needs across the region in the months to come. I think you and I have committed to that, and we'll be doing that work and engaging the community and all of us so we can, you know, maybe have a different look to projects in the future. So I look forward to doing that work.
I was going to say, absolutely. I think part of the question will be looking at what we do, how we do it, and then the perspectives, because I think there's different perspectives on how that ultimately made it. Any other discussion? Okay. So I have a motion and a second for approval of the call for projects as presented in our wonderful spreadsheet from Ryan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
All right.
Thanks, y'all. And I know that's a lot of work. I know this hasn't been done since 2018, staff. I really appreciate you reaching out to the various stakeholders. I want to commend each and every one of y'all's staff yourselves, our partner agencies here, because you did the work too as well to get things organized. So good work. Good job. Item number 12, annual briefing on CAMPO financial audit. Teresa's back.
Thank you. We completed our annual fiscal year 2025 financial single audit on May 29th. This process began in January 2026. We had a clean audit and no findings. And today we have Sean Bender with Montemayor, Britton, Bender, Carey, PC to present the audit results.
Hi. Yes, as Teresa said, we finished the financial statement audit about 2 weeks ago, and I was going to give y'all just a high-level summary of the results of the audit. So regarding the financial statements, prepared by management, audited by us, in our opinion, the financial statements that we were provided by management are fairly presented in accordance with GAAP. Additionally, since you guys have over $1 million in federal expenditures, also over $1 million in state expenditures, you were subject to both the federal and state single audit, which is essentially a grant compliance audit. And our opinion regarding each of those two single audits is that you did comply and materially comply in all respects to the financial requirements, or the grant compliance requirements for both the state and federal single audits. Because you're subject to single audit, we also address internal control. And regarding internal control over grant compliance, we noted no material weaknesses in internal control. Also, regarding the financial statements, there was no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses reported over financial reporting. The only changes from last year, accounting standards-wise, is you implemented the compensated absences requirement. So now you're having to accrue a liability for a sick leave. That was not required before. And regarding auditing, the only change was previously the threshold was $750,000 of federal expenditures, of state expenditures. It's now been bumped up to $1 million, but you guys were going to get the audit anyways because your funding is so much higher than the $1 million. But they do keep raising it every few years, so maybe one day those single audits will drop off. But for now, you're probably going to have them for several years to come. And that's the high-level summary. There's also two documents that we issue, the actual official financial audit. That's the kind of public-facing document. It's probably 25 or so pages. There's a second document that we're required to issue to those charged with governance. It's about a 2 or 3 pager that you guys probably have a copy of. And that's where we would disclose any problems or issues or red flags during the audit. Like if there was difficulties in dealing with management or unusual interpretations of some standards or something, but there's nothing negative to report in that second document as well. So overall, it was a very clean engagement.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right.
Any questions?
Any questions from y'all? They trust the audit.
So, no question, but congratulations to Teresa again on yet another clean audit.
Thank you. Also, Williamson County has a huge role in that as well. Our accountant with Williamson County and also the assistant financial director. So thank you.
Okay.
Do we need to move for acceptance?
This isn't for approval. No.
Okay, very good.
Apparently, we have to give flowers to Commissioner Long, though, but we'll do that another time with that as well. Okay. Item number 13, Executive Director's Report. Have you already checked out? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
There was something, there was something.
Are you still leaving?
Mention, I can't remember what it was. So unless somebody reminds me of what that was, I will take this time to briefly say, for those of you who are not aware, this is my last board meeting as CAMPO Executive Director. I have turned in the paperwork for retirement under the Williamson County pension system. And so June 30th is officially my last day in this role. So I started August the 14th of 2014, and boy, was that a tumultuous first meeting to Commissioner Trevillion's statements earlier. We've come a long way together, long way. And this, so y'all know, when I started out from college and got my first job, I was one of those folks who thought, I would go to a job and I would work there my whole time for 30, 40 years until I retired. It did not work out that way. As they say, man plans and God laughs. And so, but this job has been the longest one I have been in. So prior to this one, I was in Houston for 11 years, and then this one, 12. We've accomplished so much, both as a region and then as staff. As the policy board, you have given us as staff chances to do things that other MPOs in the country don't get to do. So we get to work on innovative partnerships with the U.S. local governments, with TxDOT in particular. Some of the partnerships we have, especially around our quarters program, is unprecedented, not just in the state, but across the country. We are routinely seen as models of what could be done across the country. A lot of the work that Ryan has done on the tip is now being reproduced in other states and other parts of the country. I won't continue to ramble. Some folks have told me I have a tendency to talk like a Baptist minister. I am Baptist, but I'm not a minister. So, I'll just end by saying thank you for 12 great years.
Well, Ashby, and I think it was appropriate that Jeff brought that up, and how things have resolved now, because I've only been here 9 years, and this is a much different board. This is a much different organization, and that only happens when you have stable leadership that's thoughtful, earnest, candid, hardworking, and is willing to understand and embrace a team mentality to get things done. And you've brought this to this region. I think that, as a kid from DFW, it's always been a little hard for me to look at what's going on in North Texas COG. Okay, well, maybe not recently, but before several years or so, and say, wait a minute, why are we such a unicorn? Why are they able to get things done? Why are they able to get that allocation of funds and work together in a way that this region hasn't? And what's great to say today, I mean, this whole discussion, this meeting shows emblematic of it, is that that's the case it is now. You know, you truly are having a win for Bastrop is a win for Vernon, is a win for Williamson County, is a win for Travis, you know, Lockhart. That's the way things are. But that only happens when you have an MPO who understands and understands the perspectives of the different entities involved, willing to listen to the citizens and constituents in each entity, and is willing to do the work to get things done in a process and procedure that everybody can agree to. And, you know, we can't thank you enough for all your service, my friend. I think that stands a standing observation right here.
Mr. Chairman, I do want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ashby wasn't kidding. He came in, that was a rough meeting, your first meeting. But I just, having worked with you as vice chair and as chair and just a policy board member, I've appreciated your professionalism, your patience with the board. You've got a lot of strong personalities, you know, very few not type A's. And you've managed that well, and it's not just the board, it's staff from various entities, it's all kinds of different relationships, and you have raised the bar for CAMPO, but for all MPOs, because a rising tide raises all ships, and you have raised the bar for us regionally and nationally, and I want to thank you for your work here, and wish you the best in going forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, there is going to be a retirement celebration for Ashby. It's going to be held at CAMPO offices on Monday, June 29th from 3 to 6 p.m. A formal invite will be sent to each and every one of you in your mailboxes. And for me, for announcements, the next Technical Advisory Committee meeting will be June 22nd at 2 p.m. The July 13, 2026 Transportation Policy Board meeting, as our normal cars, is canceled, so y'all can go on vacation. And the next Transportation Policy Board meeting will be August 10th, 2026 at 2 p.m. Did you remember what you wanted to say?
Yes. So every 5 years, we are required to go through a federal review process called a certification review. And so that time is upon us. It's actually next week on June 17th and 18th. So we will be going through that process. We've had meetings with Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit over the past few weeks. They have done a desk audit of our work. They have verbally told us at this point that they see no material issues with any of our work, and quite the opposite. They think there are lots of things to commend. So they will come in, do their review. They'll also interview the board officers, and then a report will be written, a draft report will be written and issued by Federal Highways and Federal Transit together. And then once CAMPO staff has seen that, it will be finalized. But at least right now, based on the comments they've told us, we should not see any issues, so therefore we won't be subject to having our funding withdrawn or frozen.
I heard that's really important to have funding.
Some have said that.
Okay, there we go, right there as well. Well, right before I gavel out, I remember about a month ago when I gavelled out, I explicitly stated that Texas Longhorn women would go ahead and win the national championship in softball, and that our men would be in the College World Series. And oh, wait, what did you say, Commissioner Trevelyan? You said my T-shirt. Yes, that is about them right there. That's quite amazing, yes. And they deserve all the accolades they get. So this prediction this time around is that we will win the College World Series and that the U.S. men's national team would actually win the World Cup. We'll see if either of them actually come together.
You are reaching.
Don't get
It's
greedy.
at 4:24 p.m.
Don't get greedy.
This meeting is adjourned.